We're going to start in a minute to give time for some people to come in. Okay, I think we can start. Hello. Welcome everybody to the Mindful Mood Summit by Naluri. My name is Balkis. I'll be your host for today's session. Now, just to share that in view of the World Mental Health Day earlier this month, we are doing a string of 6 webinars, which has taken place yesterday and today. So we have covered various topics such as work-life balance, mood disorder, gut health, and you will also get the chance to hear from the experts directly. And before I welcome our speaker for today, I would like to just remind everyone on a couple of ground rules. So first of all, if you have any technical issues and you cannot resolve it in what I have put here, then just tag Naluri events, or you can tag Sashi himself, our speaker today. Okay, and then I hope you guys, I encourage you guys to really interact as much as you can using the features available on the chat box. And if you want to send a message to me or to Shasi, and you want it to be private, just take a little box on when you type it, and then it come out, and then you just take it, okay? And don't worry, the handouts will be shared. I will share it at the end of the session, okay? And then last but the most important thing, I hope you guys can be your curious self, absorb as much as you can, and please be kind and polite to each other in the chat section. So I will now move to welcome Shasikumar Ramalingam for the topic on the power of exercise for mental wellness. Coach Shasi, over to you.
Hi, Balkis. Thank you so much. That was a very pleasant introduction. My name is Sashi, and thank you so much for everyone to join. I checked the list of members who are participating in this webinar, and I'm glad to see there are some of my own personal members who are here. So welcome for those who have been chatting with me for a long time. So before we start, I just want to give you all a little bit of a teaser on what we want to share for today. Like what you're seeing on the screen right now is ultimately the whole um, content that we were going to be covering. And I hope that all this content, all these sub-contents that you're looking on the screen is going to help you to segmentize your learning process today and also give yourself the opportunity to focus where you want to focus a little bit more, and that these things could actually benefit you and you can take away from this at the end of the webinar well, right? So before I start with the webinar, the contents and whatnot, I'm just going to share a story with you, right? So this story happened in 2006 June, and for those who are probably speaking with me for a long time, you have heard this story before, but I'm just sharing it again with the broader team, the broader audience here in the webinar. That in June 2006, I actually met with a major accident. Right, it was a major vehicle accident. I was driving a car. I was young. I sped and I couldn't control my car, and I crashed onto a traffic pole. Right. So I had two other friends of mine in the car, and this was after a badminton match. Um, and we were driving back, and we went to a mama restaurant, and we sat down and we had a good dinner, and we had some good chat. But after that, then we rushed back home and started speeding, and I lost control. I couldn't turn on time in a location that I have to turn. So I slammed on the brake, and the car tire skidded, and it went straight, um, knocked on the pole, and I didn't know what happened. It all happened in a split second. So when my adrenaline started kicking in, then I realized that I was in an accident. And I look at the side, my friend, he was okay. And I look at the back, my friend was okay. And we broke open the window, right? I couldn't open the door, it was stuck. But what surprised me was that I saw the traffic pole next to me. So, which means the car has split open into half, and the traffic pole is right next to me. It's a good thing that it didn't hit any one of us. So we broke open the window and climbed out of the window, and I made sure that all my friends are out. So I started looking at them, and they were fine and all that. And then my adrenaline started going down a little bit. Then when it did so, then I felt that I couldn't stand. I felt that something is happening and I couldn't stand. So I sat down on the grass, right? So after I sat down on the grass, I felt that, hey, I can't sit. It feels like I have to lie down. So I lay down on the ground, right? I lay down on the grass where the traffic light was. So there's a grassy area, so I just lay down there. Then my friend came over and he's like, "Oh, hey, are you okay? Don't worry. You're fine. Can you see me? Can you talk and all that?" So I was like, "What's wrong? How come like you guys are still walking and what's wrong with me? Like, tell me the truth." And they were like, "Oh, no, no, nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong, right?" And of course, being your friends, they don't want you to worry. So what I did was I touched my face, and the whole face was full of blood. So my palms were full of blood. Then I was asking my friend, "What's wrong?" You said that nothing is wrong, but my whole face is full of blood, right? Then I started having that realization. Okay, I met with an accident, and things are happening now. I'm injured, and I can't walk, and I can't sit. What's wrong with me, right? Luckily, on that night, there was an ambulance that was nearby. Um, and they were fueling petrol in a nearby petrol station. So when they heard the crash, so they rushed to the scene. They rushed to the scene really fast. So within after the accident, like less than 5 minutes, they were there, right? And they took me into that ambulance and they drove me to the hospital as fast as they could, right? But I was almost passing out. I can see that I'm passing out. I can feel that I'm passing out. I start hallucinating things that is not there. And I can hear my friend's voice from a distance, right? Like telling me to stay away. And I can hear the medical assistant staff in the ambulance is telling my friend, make sure he doesn't sleep, make sure he doesn't sleep, right? I can hear all these conversations, but I just don't see them, right? I was hallucinating. I was thinking of things that is not there and stuff like that. So it was a very unique experience. Um, then in time, I hear slaps, I hear so many other stuff, and I was put through in the hospital. Right, I was put in the hospital, and then they did all the cleaning and all that. Then I had 52 stitches on my face. Of course, you can't see it now. Like I had a long stitcher, like 16 stitches. My lips tore, my eyelid, both my eyelids torn. Uh, my nose broke. It's still crooked. My ears were hanging down, dangling. It torn off as well. So the glass broke and everything else. And I got an injury all over my hand here. Got so many stitches on my hand as well because I was trying to block my eyes, and I was lucky I did that. So all the glass actually shattered my hand rather than my face. So that experience then brought me to realization, right? Like I am in a really bad place right now, right? And I started to then go through all this treatment and whatnot. And then at the end of the day, like within a day, they came back with the results and they told me that I have broken four parts of my body, one of which is my spine. And I had three stable fracture spine bones and two broken spine bones. Um, so that gave me realization why I couldn't feel my standing and why I couldn't feel my sitting, right? Um, so through that experience, then later on, I was going through physio. I was going through a lot of stuff. I did three surgeries for my spine, um, and I had some accidents. I had some casts all over my body and whatnot, right? But even after all those effort, then in a couple of days, I was told that I've got to live my life on the bed for the rest of my life, right? And that actually plays a very important. I mean, it alters your mind and your body in a very important way, where then you measure your life really differently, right? Because it was a you've gone through a life and death experience, and now you are in a vegetative state that you can't live life the normal way that you used to live life. So I was getting depressed. I was getting emotion my emotion was spiking up. I was feeling like it's hopeless for me to live in this condition anymore. I was young. I was 27 years old, right? 2006, I was 27 years old. So with all these things happening with you, and then you realize that there's no point of living. But as the time comes when you really felt that you want to give up, a friend of mine who is a fitness coach. Her name is Anas Nostrat. She's currently in the US. So she came to me and she told me, hey, you know what? Nothing is going to happen to you because the doctors have said that there's nothing that they could do more. Maybe it's time for you to go out and enjoy the world as it is, right? And I'm going to take you back home. I'm going to speak to your parents, and then we try to get you back home. And then after that, I'm going to come and visit you every single day, right? And every single day, I'm going to make sure that I get your muscle connective tissue better, right? And I have no choice, right? So I just said yes. But deep within me, I felt that, hey, this is going to be a big, huge disappointment for me, right? Nothing's going to happen. The doctors have said that I can't do anything much in my life. But then she came to my house every day. She did physio for me every single day. She taught me about muscles. She taught me about connection of muscles and mind and body connection around that. How your brain can help your muscle to move faster. How your muscles movements can actually affect your emotions and things like that, right? So after going through all of that, in 3 months down, I felt tingling feelings on my fingers. I didn't feel it for almost 90 days, right? I didn't feel anything below my neck for 90 days. But after 90 days, I felt that tingling feeling in my fingers, right? In 164th day, I actually managed to sit down. And in 196th day, I managed to stand, right? And in exactly 8 months, 8.5 months, I started putting on my first step. And in 1 year, I was back in the gym lifting heavy weights, right? So, with that, I want to introduce myself, a short story and introduction to the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is the power of exercise for mental wellness. And my name is Sashim. I've been a fitness coach since the year 2011. So, I've been a fitness coach for a good um, 15 years, 16 years, quite a long time. Almost 2 decades of training. So before I get certified as a fitness coach, I started working as a junior fitness coach in one of the fitness centers in 2001, 10 years before I got myself personally certified. So my total experience in fitness coaching is about 23 years. Um, prior to this, I was helping a lot of people who have chronic disease, both physically and mentally, helping them to cope up and whatnot. But now I'm working more with biomechanics. So biomechanics is literally to help someone who is not able to move again, right? So this is from my personal experience. I mastered that field and probably one of the few coaches in the whole of Malaysia who is actually qualified medicine fitness together with biomechanics, who's able to work with people with chronic pain and chronic diseases, right? So with that, thank you and welcome for the webinar today. And the first thing first, I'm just going to ask all of you here, what is mind body connection? Maybe you could just unmute yourself, or you could just chat, put it in the chat box, and let me know, what do you think is mind body connection? Anybody? Anyone? How one affects another and vice versa. Yeah, I guess in a more easier way to put it, Lydia, then yes, definitely, right? So it's more about how your mind and your body is going to work with each other to optimize the output of each other, right? So when we talk about mind body, so let me just put it in a very simple term, right? Your mood affects your needs to exercise, and your exercise affects the mood as well, right? So these are a very basic way for us to um, talk about what this mind body connection is, right? But now the second thing that I'm going to ask you is that, can anybody tell me how exercise directly influences mental health? Can anybody here share a little bit about how this is happening? Okay, so for most of us, boost happy hormones, healthy body, clear mind. Yeah, yeah. So for most of us, we feel that exercise is an exercise, right? It's about physical fitness, right? So this is what the perception that most people have. I go to exercise. Why? Because I want to lose weight. I want to look better. I want to get off the belly. I want to be fit. I want to be able to run a marathon. I want to be able to do so many things. But have you thought that fitness or exercise is a lot exactly city, right? Metabolism, good hormones. Very good one, right? I'm going to touch on that a little bit. So, have you ever thought that exercise actually plays a bigger role than physical self, right? What if I walk every day? How is that walking going to make me look get fitter? How is it going to make me look more beautiful? How is it going to make me sleep better? It might not make a lot of changes to your physical self, right? It keeps you accountable for your daily activities, but it doesn't give you a lot of benefit on the physical self. But what walking actually does is that walking directly affects your hormones, right? So now let's look at what kind of hormones that we are looking at, right? So number one, we want to look at the major hormones that everybody gets a boost of on a daily basis: endorphin, serotonin, and dopamine, right? So what are endorphins? So endorphins are the smiling hormone, right? So what? How do you smile? So when you get into a situation when someone tells you a joke or when you hear good news, you tend to smile. The muscle that moves to bring your cheekbone together tighter and your mouth to be wider is caused by the hormone endorphin. So the more you are happy, the more endorphin makes you smile. So that's a happiness hormone. Then let's talk about serotonin. So what is serotonin? Similar to endorphin, serotonin is a counter to your cortisol. So cortisol is a stress hormone, right? So it makes you feel stressed. So serotonin makes you feel good, right? So it gives you the good feeling. So endorphin makes you smile, happiness. Serotonin makes you feel good. So now, what is dopamine? So dopamine is another set of hormone which actually makes you feel addicted, right? So for some people, when they smoke a cigarette, they feel addicted to that smoke. So each time that they feel that the body is lack of endorphin, you smoke a cigarette to get that highness of that endorphin. That highness of that endorphin gives you self-satisfaction, right? For something good that you're feeling. So when you exercise more, it actually increases the dopamine, right? As and when you exercise. So what happens is that then your body get excited with that feeling of that increased dopamine release in your body. So it forces you to exercise a lot more. So which means in another word, exercising is actually very, very addictive, right? In a very good way. So these are the main hormones that actually helps to be boosted while you're exercising. Then let me talk about the second one. I heard someone here mentioning about stable emotions earlier. So this is more about controlling your mood and also making sure that you have a place where you can defog your brain, right? So how do you defog it? Now, when you exercise, your sleep awake cycle gets a little bit more regulated because the body would then shut down to help the muscles to repair itself after a series of exercise sessions. So I believe that a lot of you probably would have felt this, that once you go through an intense half an hour or 45 minutes of exercise, you feel some body pain here and there, you feel some muscle pain. Okay, so these are indication for the body that, hey, you know what, this muscle has been damaged during the exercise session and it has to be repaired for it to be stronger, more toner, more bigger, and more leaner, right? So the more you feel these DOMs, the more the body is getting in shape, right? So what happens to you? You feel tired, you feel ache and all that, and it automatically makes you want to go and sleep. So it regulates the sleep time so that your protein and your essential amino acids are going to go to that muscle. And when it sees that the muscle has slight pressure or maybe a little bit of scratches here and there due to the exercise, it releases the protein there to make sure that it repairs the muscle. Now, the brain is very, very smart. The brain wants to get into a place where it's always happy and it wants to make sure that the body functions at its optimum level, right? So, what it does is that it identifies that this particular muscle fiber is not strong enough to function on its own. So, when I repair it, I need to make it thicker and stronger. So, that's why when you lift weights, your muscle gets bigger, right? Because of all the damage, your brain then repairs it to be bigger and stronger. But then again, it needs a high boost of testosterone to do it. So for ladies, what usually happens is that it doesn't make it bigger, but what it does is that it makes it leaner and stronger, right? So it doesn't grow, but it becomes extremely lean. That when you shed your body fat, you look like you're in good shape, right? So make sure that you lift a little bit of weight for ladies. And finally, we're talking about oxytocin, right? So when you talk about oxytocin, so what is oxytocin? I'm quite sure somewhere, somehow you have heard about all this oxytocin and all that, right? Right. Since the beginning of our lineage, right, ancestry, long time ago, when humans used to live in places, caves and all that, go for hunting and things like that, right? So they go out, they hunt for these wild beasts, right? And they get hurt, they come back, they get a meal, right? I mean, they get a meal for the family, for men, right? And then they feel the pain and whatnot. So what happened back then? So they have been trained that this opposite partner, the opposite sex, actually goes in and comforts them, right? And initially at that stage, you don't have that much of connection of oxytocin that's being released, but the level of comfortness actually increases as time goes by. So then this became a habit. So it became a habit where we need a partner to survive, and at times of worry, times of need, times of pressure, then we get this people coming around us and telling us, hey, you know what, that's okay, right? Hey, you know what? That's fine. Right? We need people to talk to. We need a coach to talk to. We need a friend to talk to. Right? So the personal connection that you build among each other, your family, your friends, your coach, your colleagues, and all this stuff, creates the boost of oxytocin in your body, which is the ability for you to less worry, but create that environment where you can still hang on and move forward. That's oxytocin. So now when you go and exercise, your body gets a boost of oxytocin, right? It simulates oxytocin secretion so high that it goes into every very nerves that you have. So which means the ability for you to overcome stress, overcome depression, overcome anxiety is boosted up to so much more higher level that you are able to cope with it a lot more easier, right? Without the immediate need. So which means at early stage, you should be able to cope with this kind of stresses a lot better compared to people who don't go and exercise. So this is a quite high level of what I wanted to cover today. Now, let's look at what we have studied upon when it comes to all this exercise and whatnot. So probably a lot of people will be thinking, "Oh, this is just something that anybody can come up with," and there's no real data. But I just want to share with you really good data here. So this data is compiled for people who have depression and anxiety. It's a study that was made, two different studies that was made, but it is also something that has been accumulated with a few other studies, right? So it's not a singular study, but it's more of a systematic review, right? So that means that multiple studies have been done, and all these studies have been compiled to actually come up with this particular outcome or particular statistics, I would say. It is said that for someone who actually has a good level of physical activity happening in their life, they have found to have 17% decreased risk of independent depression. So, what is independent depression? Independent depression means you go through a depression based on what you are facing by yourself and not something which is contributed by an external party, right? So, which means that if someone is coming and shouting at you, scolding you every single day, and you go through depression, that is an external effect. But independent depression is something that you can actually have by yourself without any effect from external factors. That's number one. Number two, it is also said that this study has actually have helped people to reduce the odds of having anxiety, right? So the numbers are there on the screen. You can actually check on the numbers. So this was a statistics that was released in WebMD and also another site where we look at research papers. So I can share the link with Balkis at the end of this if you guys need to know a little bit more on this research. So you can take a look at it and read it through, right? So scientifically and also with research, it is also quite obviously portrayed on a bigger scale, not only in Malaysia or Asian countries, but all over the world, that exercise and mental health actually goes hand in hand. Now, let me go to the next slide and share with you what are the types of exercise that enhances mood, right? So, number one, aerobic exercises. Can anybody in this group today tell me or share with me What are the type of aerobic exercises that you know, or probably that you have done in the past few months? Jogging, yeah. Run, Zumba, exactly. Zumba. See, a lot of people like Zumba. Jogging, elliptical, hiking. Good, good. I used to do bodyweight training. Okay, nice. Yoga, Pilates, oh, line dancing, nice. Dancing, swimming, cycling, HIT. Right, okay, cool. So, what is aerobic exercise? So, aerobic exercise are exercises that increases your heart rate to a point where you reach something that we call um, ventilatory threshold. So, what is ventilatory threshold? So, ventilation is, of course, your breathing within your body. So, threshold is a level that you hit, right? So, it's a threshold. So, for ventilation, for oxygenated ventilation, you have actually three thresholds, right? So, threshold number one, threshold number two, and above that. So, there's three levels. So, now when we talk about aerobic exercises, it means that your breathing should be within threshold one and threshold two, right? So any activity that falls within that category are actually aerobic exercises. Example, what is this threshold one and threshold two looks like? So threshold two is basically you are in a place where you can't breathe comfortably at all, and you're breathing so hard that you can't talk. Example, if a dog chases you over 100 meters, right, you're gonna run for your life, right? You're gonna run so hard that once you lose that dog, you can't even say a single word. You'll be just bending over and you'll be breathing so heavy, right? And that breath is going to make sure that your vocal ability is blocked entirely until it lowers down to a certain level, right? So that is ventilatory threshold two. What is beyond that? Beyond that is that you push your body to a level that you will actually collapse. That's ventilatory threshold three. Right now, what is ventilatory threshold one? Ventilatory threshold one is where you come to a point where your breathing is not really controlled and your conversation is not very comfortably made. So, example, um, this is usually what I do with my members. So, I ask them to go through this test called a talk test. So, a talk test is where you get someone to talk after they do a 1 minute exercise, right? So, example, if they're going to jog, you get them to jog for 1 minute, and then you ask them to stop immediately after that 1 minute, and then you ask them to sing or maybe tell a nursery rhyme. So, usually, what I do is that I ask them to say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. So, I ask them to sing the ABC song, right? If they go like what I just did, then that means they have not hit the threshold one. If they go somewhere like A, B, C, D, F, G, so it's not so comfortable, but it's not so heavy. That means they have one pause or maybe two pauses within that A, B, C, D, F, G, right? So then that means they have gone above the first threshold. So that is an indication of threshold one. So when you do your exercise, make sure your exercise is intense enough that it goes just above that threshold one for you to get the benefit of mood enhancement, right? So when you want to get elevated serotonin, when you get elevated endorphin and dopamine, you need to actually bring it to that level. Now, number two, strength training. Strength training might not bring your breathing out to that level, but strength training does that mind body connection. So your body is actually now filled with synapses, right? So synapses are the connection between your brain and your body, right? So this nerves trigger all these impulses around your synapses to go to your muscles, to go to your body, to move and function at an optimum level. So doing a lot more strength training actually triggers better connectivity among these synapses that are available in your body. What does it then do? It makes you feel a little bit more connected with your body. So what your body wants, what your brain wants, your body's going to do very effectively of what it wants, right? Your response time to catch, your response time to avoid, agility, all this is going to improve because of that synapse connection, right? So chances for you to fall down is a lot lesser. Chances for you to trip is a lot lesser. Chances for you to lose balance is a lot lesser because your muscles are now very strongly holding around all your body to make sure that that frame is in the best condition, right? But of course, then it also helps you to boost your confidence, right? So you look better, right? Your body has changed now. You are more toned. So you look a lot more better now, right? So you look gorgeous in the new dress that you bought, right? And you can, for ladies who want to get married and all that, you feel confidence in your wedding day, right? So all these things happen with strength training, right? So it doesn't directly impose any kind of changes to your mind, but it imposes a lot of changes to your perception on yourself, right? So that's on the strength part. And finally, of course, mindfulness. Mindfulness is more about letting the body know that they can be in a very relaxing mode where you go through some breathing techniques, you go through some stretches, and maybe you learn how to do um, a guided meditation and things like this, right? So these are some of the activities that you can do for mindfulness, yoga included, Pilates included. So many other things that you can actually do when it comes to mindfulness. Now, why is mindfulness important? So mindfulness then helps you to control the level of oxygen that goes into your body through proper breathing techniques, through proper stretching, through proper meditation, control of the mind, through proper movements of yoga, flow of your body, and Pilates, the combination of a strength and flow of your body. So all these things helps you to control the amount of oxygen that goes to your brain. Number one, to think more clearly. So you get clarity when you get more oxygen. If you don't get that oxygen, your level of clarity is actually very, very minimal, right? Second thing, when you wake up in the morning, your brain defogs really, really well, that your ability to make a decision faster after you wake up is better, right? So you get a lot of people when you wake them up, they're like, "Oh, what's happening? What's happening?" They get this perception that they are in a place that they can't really decipher what's happening with them. Clarity is quite low and whatnot. So these are signs of brain not getting enough oxygen when they're waking up. That the brain remains fogged, so which means that the experience that they had while they're sleeping has not overcome when they wake up, right? So the more you get this mindfulness exercise through, the more breathing techniques that you practice, then when you wake up, you'll be more control of yourself. Okay, I'm awake now. Okay, what's wrong? You'll be more calm. You'll be more easy to ensure that the people who woke you up suddenly is able to convey themselves a lot better to you as well. So it's really better for you to practice. It's really good for you to practice this mindfulness, right? So the next time that we're gonna talk about is a little bit about aerobic exercises, right? So make sure that these aerobic exercises that I've spoken about earlier is done more regularly, right? So unlike strength training, where you can actually say that you want to do it 3 times in a week, aerobic exercise, on the other hand, which includes walking, should be done a lot more regularly, right? So good hormones actually should elevate in your body constantly and not very selectively when you're just exercising. So the ability for aerobic exercise to be done at any point and anywhere that you want to do it. You can even do it in a shopping complex. You go for a shopping spree, you still get elevated of your heart rate. You still feel that happiness that you get, and you still feel that you get your 10,000 steps clocked in. But be mindful of your pocket. If it's not deep enough, then that might be a problem. So go for window shopping instead. I think that's a better idea to do this, right? It increases your heart rate, and also you can actually increase this chemical that is released in the body. So we call it NPH. So you can call it NPH if you want to. It helps the brain deal with stress more effectively. So the more you have this, well, it explains, right? You go for more shopping, of course, you're happier. So you deal with the stress a lot better. So if your work is really, really stressful, don't go back home immediately after work. Maybe go for window shopping a little bit. Yeah, Sharon, exactly, right? Shireen, right? So exactly. So go for window shopping a little bit. So by the time you go back home, you forget about work. The last experience that you had with that day's journey is looking at things that you love looking at, right? And probably planning on what you want to get after, right? So this is something that you can really work on. Uh, yeah, increasing blood flow to the brain, defogs it. I mentioned this a little later. And finally, what's really important is for you to think about something else, right? Like that your mind is actually occupied all times, right? We generally have about 60,000 thoughts in our brain. Women has about 90,000 thoughts in their brain on a daily basis. So it's a lot easier for men. You don't have to go shopping as often as women does. But if you go for shopping for women more, then yes, you think about all the other stuff. You can put it aside and you can make sure that you are more focused in what you want. It's not a bad thing to have more thoughts. It's just that you're more detailed about things, and men are not as detailed as you are. So That's a plus and point for both sides. But when this happens, when you have lesser thoughts in your brain, what actually means also is that you don't feel as depressed as you usually would, right? If you feel sad about so many things and doing these things keep you away from feeling sad, then chances for you to avoid depression is a lot higher, right? And feeling anxious about things around you would also reduce tremendously, right? So strength training, again, creates the physiological function, movements, improvements, and all that, which I told that your synapses work a lot better, your nerve then works a lot better, right? And then your appearance get better. You look nicer. You look good in clothes. You look muscular for men. You attract a lot more women, right? So um, it's really good. You create endorphin, which means that you're happy more, right? So lifting weights make keep you happy more, and you look at positive. You look at the positive side of things a lot more better. So that would actually give you a better perception of positive behaviors, and also it avoids you from feeling extreme pain or coping with extreme pain, because this particular activity gets the body to be ready to endure pain. As I mentioned earlier, when you go for exercise, you feel all those pain because of the micro test. As time goes by, you don't feel that pain anymore. It's not that you don't feel it, right? But the perception of pain have actually increased. That pain might not be a trigger for your body to say that you're feeling pain, right? And it's also of course it's a very mindfulness based exercise whereby you need to do proper breathing and you need to count your reps. Okay, I done 1, 2, 3 reps, 4 reps, 5 reps. Okay, now I'm going to go for my second set. I'm going to rest 30 seconds, 1 minute in between. I'm going to go for the next one, then I'm going to rest in between, then I'm going to go for the next exercise. So it really gives you focused on things that you're doing at that moment, right? And that means that you're more mindful about things that are happening within yourself, around you, and also things that might happen after you're done with this exercise. So good. It really helps with the mental growth, right? And finally, with the mindfulness relaxation, mind body connection increase, tension of the muscles decrease, right? And systematically gives you more awareness on if your body is going through tense moment, gives you mental relaxation with defogging your brain. Um, as I said earlier, that if you learn how to do the breathing techniques, then this kind of activity is going to ensure that you get proper amount of oxygen to the brain, which then helps you to live a less worry life, right? And then now we have touched that part of it. Now let's us get together to try a little bit of breathing technique, shall we? Is it okay? Maybe a thumbs up. Good. Okay, I've got one thumbs up. That's good enough, right? Okay, so I've got a lot of thumbs up. Right. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a very, very simple method for us to do these breathing techniques, right? Thank you, everyone, for giving all the support, right? So just a little bit of this breathing techniques. Um, this is what we call diaphragm breathing, right? So diaphragm breathing will give you clarity of your thoughts for a short period of time. Done regularly, it will give you clarity of your thoughts in a more prolonged manner, right? So, excuse me. So, how do you do this technique, right? So, now I want you to learn how to do diaphragm breathing. So, diaphragm breathing is also known as belly breathing, right? So, whereby you push your belly out when you breathe in, right? You push your belly out all the way where you feel that your diaphragm is now pushing itself down to get your belly outwards, right? So we're going to do it in a manner where it actually helps you to be more clear about how this breathing is going to work and how that's going to affect your body, right? So you need to have some sort of a counting mechanism that you need to use, which I'm going to teach you, right? So the counting mechanism that we're going to use is 2-5-1, right? So what it means by 2-5-1, it means 2 points of breathing in, 5 points of keeping it, and 1 point of letting it out, right? So we're going to go for 2-5-1. Yeah, can be done while seated. You don't have to get up, right? So that's the beauty of mindful reading, breathing, Hafiza, right? Okay, so let's try this. We're going to use this in a scale of 24 seconds. So we have a total of 8 points. So 8 divided by 24, we're going to go for 3 seconds, right? So which means you got to breathe in for 6 seconds. You got to keep it inside you for 30 seconds. And you got to let it out for 3 seconds. Sorry, breathe in for 6 seconds, keep it in for 15 seconds, and breathe out for 3 seconds. Can we do this? Good. Another thumbs up. Okay, wonderful. So I've got the thumbs up coming in. Okay, so in my count of three, let's try to breathe in for 6 seconds. Okay, and I'm going to say start, and I'm going to say stop when we start when we get the 6 seconds up. All right. So in my count of five, four, three, two, one, and breathe in. Hold and then go and done. Okay, we tried it one time. How does it feel? Do you feel that your brain is a little lighter just with one breathing in such a way? Yes? Okay. Any comments? Oh no, Hafiza don't feel it. Aimi felt it. Gita felt it. Ifa felt it. Okay. A lot of people felt it. Good. Okay, maybe we try to do it a few more times, right? So breathing in 6 seconds, which means that you don't breathe in really fast. You take some time to breathe in. So you go hold, right? And then you hold it for 15 seconds. Okay? So let's try it again. Let's try it again, right? In my count of five, four, three, two, one. Breathe in, hold, let go, and done. Do you feel your brain clarity? Do you feel that blood is rushing through? You feel that blood is flowing out and in of your brain? It should make your head a little lighter. You should feel it. Good. Felt it. Amazing. Nice. Okay, let's try it one more time now, right? Let's try it one more time. I think this is a good practice, right? We try it one more time. So all we got to do is, in my count of three, two, one, breathe in, hold, and let go. Good. How are you guys feeling now? Good. I like the claps. I like the better part. I like the good part. Wonderful. Okay, awake. Nice. So I hope that this particular technique has actually taught you how to be a little bit more mindful in your breathing. Now, how do you apply this, right? It's really, really important, right? So application of this exercise requires you to be a little bit more mindful on the time, your surroundings, on the activity that you do. So when you are doing exercise, after your exercise, you want to calm down, you want to cool down, or you feel that you want to meditate, you want to get clarity of the brain, you feel that you are stressed, you feel that you want to get some clarity at that time, you want to de-stress yourself, you also feel that you are tired and you feel exhausted all the time, and you want to feel a little bit of refresh, take this deep breath uh, 3 to 5 times. Good, good, Rashanjit. I think it did something to you. Burping literally means that you are getting all the air, all the tense out of your body, which is also a good sign, right? So amazing job, everyone. I think you all are actually doing a very good job. What I would want to request from everyone is to try to apply this on your day-to-day life, right? So whatever that you do, take a few seconds, right? We need 24 seconds to get this done, right? Take that 24 seconds every now and then, maybe 3 or 4 times in an hour, right? And try to do it, right? And this is actually going to give you a lot more clarity, not only about you and yourself, not only about your body, not only about your mind, but it's also going to help you to build clarity on your work, on your stresses, on your issues, on your depression, on your chores, on your load, right? Everything is going to be a lot more clearer for you to deal with. So try to apply this more frequently in your life, and I'm quite certain that you would feel a lot more. It'll make you feel a lot more easier for you to handle your stress, um, and then that would actually also give you a lot more clarity on how you want to then do your personal tasks on a day-to-day basis, right? So before I go on to um, talking about this incorporation of exercise and whatnot on your daily life, I would want to request for Barkis to help us to send out a poll that I want to see how you have actually incorporated exercise or done exercise in your past in your life, and how you have actually used it to um, get yourself a little bit more refreshed, or maybe get a little bit more mindfulness or control your mood or whatsoever. Let's look at how much do we have. Good. We are almost halfway done of people voting. Come on, guys. Let's vote. Let's see. Let's see what's the average score that we get here, and then I can actually touch on it a little bit more after this. We are getting to our 60% mark. Good. We got 40% of people who haven't responded yet. Would be very nice if we can at least get 80% of the participants to respond. So for those who have not, we are almost reaching 70%, and that would leave us another 10% of people. I'm going to give like one more minute, and then we're going to move on to the next slide. So for those who have not voted, please do. At least I can understand how many people are doing this regularly, so I can relate a little bit more on the next slide for us to go on with. Good. Just a couple more seconds, and then we can move on to the next slide. Okay, cool. So time's up. We've got about 68% of the people in the audience who have answered. And the highest one is occasionally. So you incorporate exercise into your weekly routine to manage that mood occasionally, right? So now let me go to the next slide so that I can share with you how do you incorporate these exercises, right? How you can make it from occasional to regular. So for people who rarely or never, you can try to do it, make it more occasional for you. For those who are already occasionally doing it, how can we do it regularly? And for those people who are regularly do it, how we can do it more consistently. And for those people who are consistently do it, how to keep yourself motivated to continue doing this, right? So now, number one, let's look at the type of exercise that we do, right? First, keep it simple. If you think you can walk, walk. If you think you can run, run. If you think you can walk your pet, walk your pet. If you think you can play with your kids, play with your kids. If you think that you can go shopping, then go shopping, right? If you can think that any other movements that you can do, go ahead and do it. Idea of exercise is when you actually apply certain amount. We have gym in our office. Okay, that's good. That's good, Shaida. Let's try to utilize that, right? Um, Whatever that you feel that allows you to move, go ahead and do it. So those are actually key point number one. Don't try to say that, oh, I want to do Zumba, but I can't do Zumba today, so I'm not going to do anything, right? I want to go for Pilates. Oh, it's raining, so I'm not going to do Pilates, right? I was thinking of going for a run, but unfortunately my shoe is torn, so I can't go for a run today. So when we set limitations, is when we don't have the options to do something else. That's number one. Keep it short. Don't try to do it for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, right? Do it for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Get it done with, go home, right? The idea is not to do one long session, but the idea is to do consistent short sessions, right? And number three, little movement is, yes, exactly. I totally agree with you, Fajar, right? Being healthy is not about one-off, but it's about sustainability. Number three, keep it effective. Example, as I mentioned just now, you need to hit ventilatory threshold one and above for you to get that cardio benefit, right? So do it, right? So that's the tips of you doing weight training effectively. Your reps, your sets, your rest in between, your load when you're lifting it. So what's your goal? Your goal is to maintain lean muscle mass. Then there is a different sets, different reps, different rests. Your goal is to build more leaner body, more strength. Then there's a different rest and all that stuff. And you want to build more muscle. So that's a different thing. So there's just different ways of doing it. So learn how to do it effectively and do it effectively so that you don't get demotivated by the lack of results, right? So these are some of the tips that I want to give you. If you want more detailed tips on this, you can reach out to the fitness coaches in the Naluri app. I'm very certain they'll be able to come up with a plan for you so that you will be able to also plan it according to your own schedule, right? And the next one is knowing that all these things are in place, as I mentioned to you, the fitness coaches and whatnot in the Naluri app. I would strongly suggest that you utilize the support and resources that you already have been given. So, number one, care line and text line. You feel like you want to talk to somebody anywhere in the world, like Malaysia is a toll free number. You feel like you want to talk to someone, call us. Call us. We operate 24/7, right? So if you can't sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, you just want to chit chat with us, call us. We'll be more than happy to talk to you, right? So go ahead and use the services, right? This is also a little bit more immediate for you to speak to us if you have any kind of trouble sleeping, or maybe you're feeling stressed at the moment and you really need someone to speak with. You think you have some symptoms of feeling anxious or whatnot, so you want to release that symptoms of anxious, then speak to us. We'll be more than happy to do it. Number two, you have your emotional well-being assessment. So this is something that I am going to encourage everybody to do, right? So I'm going to pause in the screen for 1 minute. What I want all of you to do is take out your phone, scan the QR code, and start up with this assessment before we finish the day, right? You don't have to do it now. It's only 7 questions, so you can do it in less than 1 minute. But what's important is for you to scan this QR code and try to do this. Try to see what is your current state of emotional well-being. It's really important for us to test this, right? And the reason why we have this is also for you to self-test yourself, right? Every day, perhaps, maybe every 2 weeks once. Take your phone, go to this particular function in your Naluri app, do these assessments every 2 weeks. See where you are. It takes you 30 seconds to complete this, right? See where, do a self-test, do a self-check, understand your current emotional state, right? And see what you can actually identify. And then that would also give Naluri coaches a little bit more insight on how we can help you in case if you need any kind of support from us, right? Next is the mood journal. So we also have a mood journal. So this is another thing that I want you to do. So what I want next is for you to also go into this particular mood journal QR code. I think we will send this back to you. If you can't do it now, do it later. But I want to know, how do you feel, like all of you in this call today, I want to know how you feel with the webinar today that you went through. What kind of clarity you have, what you think about it, right? I really want to know your thoughts. right? And I really want to know how you feel about it. So why don't all of us, and I'm humbly requesting everybody here to go in and try the Smooth Journal out just based on this webinar that you went through. It will be a good insight for me to improve myself as well in the future. And I would also know what to talk a lot more about, um, the things that you probably want to hear more about. But I think it would be very good insight for you, for me, and also the entire team to also understand how your mood is on a day to day basis, on a week to week basis, so that we are also able to guide you through to enhance your mood, to make you feel a lot better than you're already feeling, right? So take the time to do this. And finally, two more services that we have in terms of coaching. You can also book a one to one support with a Naluri counselor or a Naluri coach, where you can talk to us about anything. You can book me on the platform, and you want to talk to me about fitness scan. I'm more than happy to speak to you about it. You want me to elaborate more on the topic that we had today? Yeah, sure, book my time. I'll be more than happy to go through it. So the examples that I'm giving is not limited to me, but you can have support from the dietitians, you can have support from the mental health coach, from our medical advisor, from our career coach, executive coaches, and financial planners. So we have all these coaches under our wing, and we are more than happy to do this one-to-one consultation with you. And finally, of course, the Naluri app and also the web services where you can go and get all those things that I spoke about earlier. For those who do not have the app, take the time to download the app. We have the link here as well, right? And then get into the app, reach out to us, do your emotional well-being assessment, do your mood journal, and then give us some ideas and thoughts about how we want to do this a lot better in the future. And those inputs will be very much appreciated. And now, finally, I'm going to open the floor for maybe 2 minutes of question. We had a lot of chatting earlier, but maybe 2 minutes of Q&A before we end the session today. Can we have the slides? Of course, we will be sending the slides over, Bakis, right? Okay, so is there any specific exercise to tackle cortisol? Right. We don't have exercises to tackle cortisol, but we have endorphin to tackle cortisol. We have serotonin to tackle cortisol. So exercises, any kind of exercises, especially weight training, increases the level of endorphin and the level of serotonin in your body, which directly tackles cortisol, right? Uh, Best way to reduce belly fat. Okay, so this is a very good question that probably I want to touch a little bit. So belly fat is something that you can't spot reduce, right? So the body stores fat in a place that it loves to store. So when you do exercises, the fat is burned randomly by your body as well, right? So we don't have spot reduction, but the good news is consistency eventually burns belly fat. All those belly exercises build your belly muscles, but it doesn't burn your belly fat. What's more important in burning belly fat is calorie deficit. Calorie deficit is a better way for you to burn belly fat compared to exercises. Recommend exercises that enhance both mood and lose weight effectively. I certainly can, Moniroth, but I think you should be reaching out to me personally on that so that it's much more um, specific to you than to a general public. So everybody would have different perception on mood and also weight loss, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you. When will the follow-up email be sent after the webinar? I think Balkis would be the best person to answer that. So Lydia asked how to maintain myself to exercise when I just feel like being a couch potato. But it's the perception of exercise usually that controls someone's idea of exercising. Um, but yes, there would be way. Lydia, I'll be reaching out to you personally on this, and we can talk a little bit more. And with that, Balkis, I think we are at the end. It's 2 minutes. I know the other questions are here, which I would answer in a more general format, and I will share with Balkis so that every participant here could actually get an answer for this particular questions that you're asking. Are we good?
Thank you, Shansi. Okay, everybody, I'm so sorry, but the questions that did not go answered, don't worry. It will be, you can go to the chat tab on your Naluri app and get it answered by your fitness coach. Thank you so much, Shasti. You did it great. I think I learned a lot of new things. I hope the rest also did learn new things as well. I hope that everybody can leave just a little bit feedback for us. I'll be sharing it now. I hope you guys can leave a feedback for everybody. Um, and if you are curious to learn more about our webinar, we have one more session happening, um, which is at 4 p.m. today. I mean, if you want to give good feedback, you can. You can also give a constructive feedback. Any feedback are welcome. The slides will be shared as well. And to answer the question just now, usually the email will be will be sent out about a day after, but you guys need to give us a little bit of time because thank you so much. But yeah, you need to give us a little bit of time because for the Mind for Mood Summit, we did receive a lot of audiences. So I hope you guys can give us probably next week. I think everybody can get the emails. And now I'll be sharing the slides to everyone. Okay, I hope everybody can access it. And to those that want to join the webinar, the last webinar that we have today, and for the whole summit, it's at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can scan the QR code. You can also go to this link. One second. Yes, that's me. Okay. Then I guess I can wrap it up. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you guys had a very informative session by Coach Shasti. And I'll be ending the session for about 2 minutes so you guys can say your goodbyes and everything. Thank you so much, everyone.